We take a look at the job sector, where it has been described as an employee's market, especially as there is a shortage of executives with specialized skills. And hirings are set to go up in the first 3 months of this year, all that according to a new report by human resources firm Hudson.
Also, the job market in Singapore is looking good at least, but what about the rest of the region? What are the jobs up for grabs, and what sort of pay package can we expect given the rosy economic outlook for many parts of Asia?
And this morning we look at the employment trends in the tourism and hospitality sector in 2006. And to help us do a good job, hopefully, while tracking that issue, is our first guest for the morning, Andrew Chan, General Manager Singapore at recruitment consultancy TMS Asia Pacific. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Now, it seems like Asia is a booming region, both in terms of business as well as travel and tourism. Do you sense that there will be a lot more jobs created in the near future in this sector?
Yeah, generally speaking, yes. Obviously, it's going to vary from sector to sector, but the momentum of new jobs created last year, especially the last quarter, has certainly carried over into this year. And barring unforeseen circumstances, I see no reason why it won't continue to grow.
How promising is the sector? What kind of numbers are we looking at?
I guess we're looking at the region per se. If I use Macau as an example, there's certainly a buzz of developments happening over there, which is really the Las Vegas of the East. The numbers there, we're talking about 10 to 15,000 over the next 12 to 18 months. So certainly in terms of their recruitment process, some of that will obviously come from international recruits, but at the same time they need to be prepared to train up the local local members as well.
And those numbers that you just mentioned, we're talking about Singapore only, right? What about the rest of the region? Which country looks the most promising in the tourism and hospitality sector?
I would certainly say China for one. There's still enormous growth and developments happening there, certainly gearing up to the 2008 Olympics. Foreign talent is still going to be demanded in that region. Then once again I go back to Macau. A lot of developments there with a population of just under 500,000. They're going to need I guess assistance from abroad.
Right.
I guess Macau is a good example. I mean, similar to Singapore in the sense that having these integrated resorts in a country where there's a very small population, so they have to bring in people to train their own people to sort of start working at these resorts. So looking at that, I mean, bringing in something like an integrated resort, how much job creation occurs whenever an event like that happens? How significant is it?
It certainly is a significant exercise, and obviously the buzz in Singapore is the IR projects. The numbers touted for job creation in this region is something like 10 to 15,000 new jobs. Obviously some of that is going to come from abroad, but what we do need to get right is obviously the training programs, so that the service levels are up to international standards when they do open up.
Oh, we're looking at long-term, few years ahead, but let's look at the next 12 months this year. What kind of jobs, what kind of demand is in the market right now?
Sure. If we look at figures, certainly from last year, something like 100,000 plus jobs were created over the 12-month span. Obviously that varies from sector to sector or different sectors, but the last quarter alone created over 30,000 jobs. I see certainly similar numbers for 2006.
But what kind of jobs are we talking about? What sort of jobs?
I think the service-related sector or the tourism sector will continue to boom. I see no reason why traditionally with a healthy economy results in stronger demands for the tourism sector. So I see no reason why this won't continue to be the boom sector.
Although the problem might be these are not new roles being created, and a company that is sort of established will not want to find someone brand new. They'd rather take an experienced person. So there'll be a lot of poaching. Does that mean it's the same people going around the industry, and as a result, therefore, you still have a shortage?
Well, certainly as an employer, you've got to ask yourself, are you looking for experienced people that can come on board and being able to do that job immediately? Or can you afford a little time in training up a graduate? So to answer your question, yes, there is an element of, I guess, poaching from other companies, but I think companies really need to now focus a little bit more on their training program, so to offset some of that element.
Well, taking Steve's point a little further, do employees in the tourism sector find it difficult to retain their employees?
I think traditionally there is a form of job hopping where I guess every few years or even shorter than that, employees do go from I guess one hotel to the other. I think that's just the nature of the industry that we are in, and a lot of people like to look abroad as well to broaden their experiences.
So what should some of these people be looking for? If I'm a fresh graduate out of a tourism school, so to speak, where should I be going? Should I hit for a big company and try my luck there, or go somewhere smaller where perhaps I'll get my hands wet doing more,
That's certainly a subjective question, I guess. Certainly if you're a fresh graduate, it's always good to get into a large companies where there are structures in place and sort of career development lined out for this person. But at the same time, there's certainly nothing wrong with going for a small company where career advancement may be a lot quicker.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about tourism hospitality sector, and you're talking about bringing new talents, because with the integrated resorts, we're requiring people with new sets of skills, which brings me to the point of education. Education will be very important in this aspect, because we will need to train our people, like you said, local people, to take on these new jobs.
Absolutely.
What are the prospects in this industry?
In terms of the education market, certainly I see if we're looking at expatriates or foreigners, they would certainly bring in the skills from abroad. But what I do see a big trend now is local people that have gone overseas and got that international experience, wanting to come back into the local market. I see there's certainly valuable members that would be able to train up the local recruits, or I guess the local community, to tackle the new jobs that's going to be in demand in the next few years.
Do you find that companies are more open to hiring foreign employees now, more than before?
I think it's still a healthy balance. I think large companies will still look internationally or local. I think at the end of the day, I think the best person that has the skill sets and experience will still get that job.
That's a tough one. I know it's always the best. Unfortunately, there are only so few of the best, and everyone's trying to be poached, by the right company.
Absolutely.
Which sort of brings me to another question about salaries, which of course I realize is a sensitive issue, but do you think, for example, when the integrated resorts come to Singapore, will they follow international standards, or will it be different because, well, you're in a very different market, you have no idea what your consumer base is going to be like just yet. So what's the starting block?
Certainly I think a lot of market research will need to take place. I think fundamentally they do need to follow international standards, but at the same time a lot's going on in this region, so there's certainly going to be a lot of tussling between candidates for jobs. So certainly I would say yes, follow international standards, but it may change with times.
Well, salary has always been a very sensitive issue. Do you ever foresee it becoming more transparent? Other companies actually very, very open about it.
Absolutely. I don't know how open we're talking about, but certainly there are larger companies out in the marketplace that have adopted a transparent salary scale. I think staff knows what similar experienced colleagues are roughly being based on, or roughly being paid, and what increments to expect each year. I certainly wouldn't say that this is the right method for all companies, but certainly for large companies, large multinational companies, it does streamline the HR and their finance processes.
But it can't be the same in every base they have in different parts of the region. I'm just assuming if you're in a third world country, if you're in a less developed area.
Of course. I would be talking about office specifics or country specifics.
Right, that's right. Okay.
And I guess a good gauge to see where you are or how much you should be getting in a certain industry would be according to surveys done in the market and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. As an example, currently at TMS we're conducting our 2006 salary survey. This report will be made online and available to employers and employees, and it'll be a handy resource certainly for them to find out what market rates are for certain roles.
Just out of curiosity, so a survey like that, for example, would you see a big difference if suddenly there's a growth, like the integrated resort? If it suddenly opens here, will that suddenly make the scale kind of vastly different from it was, say, 10 years ago?
Yeah, obviously, I guess when the resort comes online and open in 2009, that salary survey will become redundant, and we'll certainly be doing a further survey. But yes, without a doubt, it will certainly throw things out of proportion a little bit.
Change the scale a little here. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for coming in this morning to tell us about the tourism and hospitality sector, of course. In 2006, the prospects. Andrew Chandler, General Manager, Singapore at recruitment consultancy TMS Asia Pacific.
Who knows, if the survey is good, we could apply. Change of jobs, you know. We need entertainers. We need
Talking
people
about
to see
business,
us.
let's ask Jenny about that. Jennifer Alejandro with the business headlines after this break.
Plus, we'll give you a look at sports. Tiger Woods finally wins the Desert